In the middle of a swirling white abyss where the sky met the earth in a blinding haze of frost, a powerful woman who thought she controlled the world found herself powerless, while a man with nothing but a cardboard sign held the key to a truth that would shatter her reality. Before we dive into this incredible journey of betrayal and unexpected heroism, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows us to keep sharing these stories of human resilience and the hidden truths that change lives forever. The glass walls of the Metropolitan Airport vibrated under the rhythmic thumping of the fiercest snowstorm the city had seen in decades. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of overpriced coffee and the collective anxiety of hundreds of stranded passengers. Elena Vance, the CEO of a global tech empire, paced a private corner of the terminal, her heels clicking sharply against the polished marble. She was used to being in control, to commanding boardrooms and navigating complex acquisitions, but nature didn't care about her net worth. Beside her, perched on a suitcase, was her 7-year-old son, Leo. He was unusually quiet, clutching his backpack with knuckles turned white. Elena checked her gold watch for the 10th time, her frustration boiling over. She had a flight to catch for a merger that would define her career, and more importantly, she was trying to outrun a messy custody battle with an ex-husband who seemed increasingly desperate. As the hours stretched into a dark, frozen evening, the airport took on a surreal quality. The bright fluorescent lights flickered, and the announcements of cancellations became a dull roar. That's when Elena noticed him, a man sitting near the frosted exit doors, far from the warmth of the central heaters. He wore a faded navy jacket and held a series of cardboard signs. He wasn't begging, he was watching. Every time a specific group of airport security guards walked by, he would flip a sign that seemed to have random numbers or cryptic phrases like, "The gate is locked from the inside," or, "Check the manifest." Elena dismissed him as a local eccentric, a byproduct of the chaos, until Leo wandered toward the man, drawn by a small, hand-carved wooden bird the man was whistling to. Elena rushed to pull Leo back, her defensive instincts on high alert. "Leo, come away," she commanded, her voice sharp. The man looked up, and Elena was struck by the clarity in his eyes. He didn't look like someone who had lost his mind, he looked like someone who had lost everything else. "He's a good bird, the boy likes him," the man said softly. His name was Silas, a single father who had lost his job as an airport logistics coordinator under mysterious circumstances 6 months prior. He explained that his daughter was sick, and he had been spending his nights at the airport, not for warmth, but for surveillance. Elena began to walk away, but Silas's next words stopped her cold. "You're Elena Vance. You're not here because of the weather. You're here because your flight was flagged by someone who doesn't want you to reach the hearing tomorrow." The air between them grew colder than the storm outside. Elena demanded to know how a stranger knew about her private legal battles. Silas held up a sign that simply read, "They are already inside." He explained that in his time working the cargo bays, he had uncovered a ring of ghost employees, criminals using the airport's private jet infrastructure to move assets and, occasionally, people. He had seen Elena's name on a private manifest for a flight she hadn't booked, a flight scheduled to depart into the storm, one that would effectively make her and her son disappear under the guise of an unfortunate accident. Elena laughed it off as a conspiracy theory, but then she looked at her phone. It was dead. She reached for her backup battery in her purse, but it was missing. She looked for her security detail, but they were nowhere to be found, replaced by 2 men in uniforms she didn't recognize who were now closing in on their position. The tension escalated as the storm peaked, knocking out the main power grid. In the dim emergency lighting, the airport became a labyrinth of shadows. Silas didn't hesitate. He grabbed Leo's hand and signaled for Elena to follow him into the maintenance tunnels he knew like the back of his hand. As they ran through the echoing corridors, Silas explained his signs. He had been documenting the movements of a high-level executive at Elena's own firm who was conspiring with her ex-husband to seize control of the company by declaring her missing. The signs were his way of communicating with a lone undercover contact in the police force without tipping off the corrupted airport security. Silas wasn't just a drifter, he was a whistleblower who had been waiting for the right moment to strike. Deep in the bowels of the terminal, hiding behind massive ventilation fans, the emotional weight of the night finally broke Elena's composure. She realized that in her pursuit of power and security, she had become blind to the people around her, including the very man who was now risking his life to save hers. Silas shared the story of his daughter, how he had been framed for theft to keep him quiet, and how he had spent every day since trying to find a way to clear his name so he could provide for her again. It was a moment of profound connection, a billionaire and a man with nothing, bound by the universal fear of losing their children. Silas gave Leo the wooden bird, telling him it was a courage charm. The climax arrived when the corrupt guards tracked them to the cargo loading zone. With the exits blocked by snow drifts and the villains closing in, Silas used his final sign. He held it up to a security camera he knew was still linked to an off-site precinct. It wasn't a message for help, it was a code he had spent months perfecting. The criminal Silas had been tracking wasn't just a thief, he was the head of the security firm. As the men lunged for Elena, the heavy industrial doors hissed open, and the real authorities, tipped off by Silas's long-term play, swarmed the room. The ghost manifest was recovered, and the conspiracy crumbled in the freezing air. As the sun rose over a world blanketed in pristine, quiet white, the storm finally broke. Elena stood at the terminal entrance, watching the police lead away the people she had once trusted. She turned to Silas, who was being hugged by a small girl, his daughter, brought to the scene by the officers. Elena didn't just offer him a job, she offered him justice, pledging her best legal teams to restore his reputation and ensuring his daughter received the best medical care available. She realized that the signs she had ignored were the very things that saved her life. This story reminds us that heroes often hide in plain sight, and the truth has a way of blooming even in the coldest winter. If this story moved you, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that hope is never truly lost. Would you like me to create a script for the video's intro and outro to make it even more compelling for your viewers?